Alright my friends, and welcome to the Mountain Provinces. I'm Brian, and in today's video we are spending 2 nights in the town of Banaue, about 400 kilometers north of the Metro Manila area in the northern region of Luzon, where we are going to visit the Batad Rice Terraces. Then on our next day we're going to take a short ride and hike into the Batad Rice Terraces, a World Heritage cultural site where no vehicles are allowed. So you have to hike in about 30 minutes just to the viewing point. So let's go ahead and get moving. Now, this is part of a 2-week motorcycle trip of mine of the northern region of Luzon here in the Philippines. Having just come from Vegan City just a few days prior, I passed through the mountain provinces on my way southeast here to the town of Banaue, where the rain just started picking up, so it was time to pull over and grab my rain gear before going over the mountain pass, which exceeds an altitude of 1,900 meters. Friends, that's 6,200 feet. So yes, my friends, that is over 1 mile in altitude here in the mountains of the Philippines. So if you think the Philippines is just all islands and beaches, there is so much more to explore and love about this beautiful country. And in this picture here, I'm already at 1,100 meters or 3,600 feet before I even started climbing up the mountain again. So after a quick break and getting my chill on, literally, and yes, I did get wet and it was shivering at times. It does get cold up here. I made my way down into the town of Banaue about an hour later, which sits at an altitude of around 1,100 meters, or again, that 3,600 feet. I booked a room at the Boga Lounge for 2 nights, where my room even overlooked part of the rice terraces here in town. And later that rainy evening, I found a little coffee shop just down the street, overlooking the town for a nice little treat and time to really unwind from my travels over the mountain. Now the following morning, I grabbed a delicious breakfast at the Boga Lounge, overlooking the misty mountains. Then I spent the day exploring the Banaue Rice Terraces, and this is the view from my room right at the Boga Lounge, where I launched my drone and captured some amazing scenery of the Banaue Rice Terraces. So enjoy, my friends. Alright, next I waited for a little break in the weather, then it was time to head over to the Batad Rice Terraces. So I prepped the bike and headed off to the Saddle Point access road. Passing through the town of Banaue, I quickly was back on the open road, and this time the trip was only about 15 kilometers, yet up and down the windy mountain roads, which took me about an hour to get to the parking area. Now the Batad Rice Terraces are only accessible on foot, so after parking, I headed toward the trailhead, which was just around this rocky bend. Now the trail opened up to a pathway dropping down the hillside, following the lush green forest winding through the mountain. And I came up on an area where the trail splits, where you can head down towards the main village in the heart of the Batad Rice Terraces, or you can follow the trail over to the viewing area and the Batad Countryside Inn, which is what I chose to do. Now, arriving at the Countryside Inn, the views were breathtaking. Seeing the size and scale of the rice terraces was incredible. This amphitheater was absolutely amazing to see. And meeting the local staff there at the inn, I was so happy to order up another coffee and just took the time to sit back and take in the views. What an amazing trip, my friends. So there you have it, my trip to the rice terraces here in the Philippines, and another great moment of gratitude, my friends. So thank you for coming along with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.